Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Zoning Commission meeting of October 14th, 2009. I know, I don't want it to be November. Let the record show that all members are present except Commissioner Dumas. At this time, I'd like to open up the floor for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on any item not on the agenda, please come forward and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. No one wishing to come forward. Public comment period is closed. Acceptance of the minutes from the September 9th, 2009 meeting.
Motion to approve.
By Steve Barrow. Seconded by Commissioner Barre. Any opposition? Motion carries. Okay, public hearing to recommend the following. DC 0908 industrial definitions. Mr. Compton.
The purpose of this ordinance is to add the definitions of light industrial, heavy industrial, and industrial facility to the code. Particular development restrictions, zoning uses, and drainage requirements are affected by these specific items. These definitions are necessary to enforce the regulations consistently and fairly. In section 17-378, specific definitions, we are adding light industrial, which reads, intended to accommodate light manufacturing, research and development, warehousing, wholesale and processing uses. Light industrial is intended to encourage originality and flexibility in design to ensure that the development is properly related to its site and buffered to surrounding land uses. Development should be operated in a relatively clean and quiet manner in accordance with applicable noise ordinance regulations. Chapter 14, Article 3 of the Code of Ordinances, and should not be obnoxious to nearby residential or commercial uses. Uses shall create little or no environmental or safety problems. Heavy industrial reads, intended to accommodate high-impact manufacturing, compounding, processing, packaging, treatment, and other industrial uses, including extractive and waste-related uses that by their nature create a nuisance and which are not properly associated with or are compatible with nearby residential or commercial neighborhoods. An industrial facility reads, any development within an industrially zoned piece of property that is classified as a heavy industrial use.
All right, thank you. Comments, questions from commissioners?
I have a question. So a light industrial, a business by definition, light industrial is not considered an industrial facility? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. So what would you consider it?
Well,
commercial?
The reason we don't consider it an industrial facility is because an industrial facility is specifically exempted from our drainage ordinance.
Okay.
Because we don't require drainage on the heavy industry sites.
Right.
And so we wanted to define an industrial facility as heavy industry. Because it's specifically called out in our drainage ordinance as an industrial facility is not required. I mean, that's essentially the language is.
And the reason for that is that the large industrial facilities manage all of their stormwater internally.
Right.
We had an application for a project in industrially zoned property that was trying to exempt themselves from our stormwater ordinance, but they weren't an industrial facility, but the definitions weren't in the code, so we couldn't justify. We basically just said we're going to stand our ground on this issue, and they have since complied, but basically we wanted to put it into code as this is why we're requiring it.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions, comments? I'll open up the floor for a public hearing. Anyone wishing to comment, please come forward. You'll have 3 minutes. No one wishing to come forward. Public hearing is closed. Comments, questions, recommendation?
Motion to recommend approval.
Have a motion to recommend approval by Sherry Slyman, seconded by Beverly Barre. Any opposition? Motion carries. Item number 6, old business. Public hearing for the historical site overlay zone, zoning ID 202809, Track 1A for Investment Association Properties, LLC. And Ms. Falterman, you want to introduce?
This is back on the agenda due to my recommendations. I felt it was in the commission's best interest to hear the applicants, give them the amount of time they need to present what we told them we would allow them to present. So that's why this is back on the agenda.
All right. Thank you. So having said that, would you please come forward and state your request, please.
Brian Dufresne, President of First National Bank. Chris Gidner's with me here. President of Ascension, old friend of mine, way back.
Speak into the microphone,
Yeah.
please, sir.
Of course.
I'm old too, and I can't hear very good.
So am I, I know the feeling. Brent Dufresne, I'm President of First National Bank. I was at the last two meetings. Chris Gidry's with me. He's from here in Ascension, a friend of mine from way back to assist me with this. All we need is a little time to move this building. It's not a trailer. I was recommended after the last meeting, some of the commissioners told me to get in touch with American Towing here in Gonzales to move it. They looked at it and they said they didn't have the ability to move it. It's not a double-wide trailer. It's a steel-framed building that we bought in sections, brought it, assembled it. When that was done, we had somebody that wanted to buy it after we finished using it for a bank. Well, the economy took a toll on that individual, so we have this double-wide, well, steel-framed building sitting on this slab. We have negotiated in the St. Charles Parish Community Health Center. Have all of y'all gotten a copy of this letter? I'll give you a
I don't
copy
know.
of it. St. Charles Parish.
Thank you.
They have basically told me Fred Martinez is the administrator of the St. Charles Hospital. They've got a federal grant to build a 13,000-foot health center in Norco that Valero gave them a large piece of land. They have to get it started before they can build a 13-foot hospital. They got a deadline. They got to have some building in activity. So they said, yeah, we definitely buying it, but we can't give you a letter saying it's bought. We can give you this letter. I have a house mover that has agreed to move it. If you want to see a copy of this letter, calling the factory that manufactured it, said, you can't move it, and put it in a location, store it, move it again, you compromise the quality of the building. We're not going to guarantee anything. So all I need is time for the St. Charles Hospital to get their permit from the parish of St. Charles to go ahead and put this building there. It's pretty much of a done deal. So we just need time. They said they'd have it done by the end of the year because they're very anxious to get the federal grant to get this started. So
right, so-
give me to the end of the year, we more than feel comfortable it can be moved.
So your request is just to allow additional time
Yeah, I just,
to remove the building.
yeah, the manufacturer said we're going to compromise the quality. And Martin Olich says if he moves it to a storage site, I could bring it to in St. Charles Parish. The big problem he has is that he's got to disassemble the building. Manufacturer said,
Okay, I understand.
lose all warranties if you disassemble
Sure,
it. So,
I understand.
we just give me some time and I can move it out of here and I can have it done.
So you are telling us that you are no longer going with the bank in that area, or what? I mean,
When we built, what delayed us so much is once you gave us permission to go in and put the trailer side, well, this modular building there, we went to the highway department and said it's a main intersection. We don't want any turnoffs within so many feet of an intersection. They had a major culvert going underneath the highway where we had to build our driveway, so we had to get the highway department to compromise and let us move it up. Then once we put our driveway in, we had all the culverts down. The highway department came out and said, wait a minute, it's not going to drain like we want it to drain. So we had to come back and tear the whole, just saw everything that was going on. We had to take it all apart, get the architect to redesign it. So, I mean, they delayed us for ages. By the time we got the permit, it was almost a year before we put the building in. Just to, so all of our parking lots are down. Our fire hydrant is there. The sewer system is down. We have the plans, plans for the permanent building. They're not ready for bid, but they're ready to finalize the design to get a bid on. The sand is hauled, everything is ready.
So your intention is to still
To build a bank
put
building.
a bank there? Okay.
Yeah, but the economy is too soft
Okay.
right now that we're just
Understand.
not going to put $2-3 million into
Sure.
a building, and we just can't do it.
Okay.
We just need time for the hospital to get its permits to get it moved to St. Charles Parish.
Okay. I understand. Any other questions, comments at this time? I guess we don't need a public hearing since I think we did this last time.
So you think by the end of the year, the hospital should have a decision?
They
And I'm-
asked for 90 days, I'm saying the end of the year. As soon as they get a building there, they can get the federal grant, and they want it real bad.
So how much time do you think you honestly
Give them
need?
90 days, they asked for, to the end of the year, but give them 90 days would be a fair number. We got 2 sets of holidays.
Right.
And lots of rain, so.
Yeah, let's,
Okay. Any other questions, comments at this time? Okay. I guess I need a motion to grant his request.
I make a motion, we give him a 90-day extension.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Nance to grant the 90-day extension for the building removal, seconded by Commissioner Wells. Any opposition? And motion carries. And we thank it, and I guess, Ms. Falterman, if you would just kind of keep in touch with Mr. Dufresne, and
okay.
if, in the event that we have a question about the status, we can
Okay.
check with her. Thank you very much for coming, sir. We appreciate it. All right, zoning subcommittee report. Since Mr. Dumas is not here, he would ask me to read this statement, and which one of these little housekeeping things that we tend to overlook sometimes. He's asking that we schedule a public hearing for the November meeting to amend and correct the references in both the historic overlay and business park sections of the code. The code currently places the final approval of the site plan in the zoning commission, which only has the authority to make recommendations. Therefore, we need to amend the ordinance to reference the planning commission as the approving entity. Kind of one of those things where nobody seems to catch, but so ask for that to be put on the agenda in November for a public hearing.
Is that a motion?
I'm asking
You
for a
can make,
motion.
okay, motion.
Okay, motion by Sherry Slyman to put it on the agenda for November,
Yes.
seconded by Beverly Barry. Any opposition? Mr. Marchand objects. Any other objections? Motion carries. And item number 8,
Move.
motion to adjourn, and we are adjourned.